Spider-Man Lotus is bad. Now, that may come as no surprise to you, but I still want to share my opinion, even though I'm a little tardy to the party as this film came out almost 3 weeks ago. So let me just give you a little bit of a lore update. So Spider-Man Lotus is a fan film made by Gavin Knoop, and this fan film had quite a lot of hype. I think it made somewhere around $100,000 on Kickstarter, so there was quite a lot of support behind it. And then that support and that hype kind of hit a wall. And the reason was because quite a few of the actors in the film, as well as the director himself, came out that they had made some racist comments, behind the scenes. And so the support and the hype kind of died down for a little bit. But then a lot of people still wanted to see the film. And so with many delays, the film was finally going to get released August 15th, confirmed by the director. It was going to release August 15th. And then got delayed one more day. So, understandably, a lot of people were upset, but, one more day ain't too bad. Came out August 16th instead, and the film was still shit. It was still horrible. You had quite a lot of time and quite a lot of funding to make a really good film, and you still kind of failed. Now, I understand that this is a fan film, but even for a fan film, this is a nothing burger of a Spider-Man film. Now, the director was hyping this up to be as a Spider-Man story that's never been told before. And so, understandably, a lot of people were hyped. But when I personally saw the film, it was just full of nothing. Now, let me just give you a few points as to why I think this film was so horrible. And then let me give you a good example of what I think a Spider-Man fan film should have looked like. So, the first gripe I have with the film, and it's quite the biggest in my opinion, is the runtime. The runtime is about 2 hours, which for a fan film that should never be the case in my personal opinion, especially with the low budget that they had. 2 hours is basically a feature-length film. That's a film that you go see at the movie theater, not a fan film. This should have been kept to half an hour to at least maximum an hour, so that way we could have had a little bit more of anything in this film. Now, my second biggest gripe with the film is that it has no flow. I just felt like at one point they were just showing scenes and showing stuff, and it just felt like filler, which again I think contributes to the fact that it was 2 hours, but it just felt like there was no flow. Like I remember there was literally 2 minutes of Harry, just music, no audio. It was literally just music playing over him while he walked very sad throughout the city. Now, my third biggest gripe with the film is that this is supposed to be a Spider-Man fan film, and yet we didn't really get to see much of Spider-Man in action. Now, I understand that this is supposed to be a fan film where they focus on, Peter and MJ and Harry dealing with the death of Gwen, but I personally felt like we should have been focused more on Spider-Man. I felt like we should have maybe seen how the death of Gwen affected him while being Spider-Man. Maybe he was a little more aggressive when he was fighting villains. Maybe he wasn't really as laid back when it came to criminals. Like he no longer joked around, and maybe he stopped pulling his punches. Kind of like a story that we wanted to see with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, where we kind of wanted to see the Amazing Spider-Man 3 be the Spider-Man story where he doesn't hold back. That's kind of what I was hoping to see here. But again, there wasn't much of that. There was hardly any fight sequences, to be honest, and most of the fight sequences only lasted not too long. I think the Harry music video lasted quite a bit longer than any fight sequence in this film. But yeah, those are kind of the three biggest gripes that I have with the film overall. Now, as promised, here's a Spider-Man fan film that I believe is way better than the Spider-Man Lotus one. That being this video made by The Corridor, known as Spider-Man Cake Day. And basically what happens in this fan film is that Spider-Man is just trying to get a cake to MJ's birthday party, but in the background, there are some criminals that stole a weaponized car. And so obviously Peter Parker has to balance, between getting the cake there on time in one piece and also trying to stop the bad guys in the background. And to be honest, they do a lot for having just 8 minutes of a video. You know, it's so much more packed with action scenes. It's never slow, it's never boring. And to be honest, the actor actually, he feels like a proper Spider-Man and Peter Parker actor, unlike the Spider-Man Lotus actor. And the CGI in this fan film isn't anything too great, but again, it's a fan film. I don't expect it to be anything so great and amazing because, you know, I have to understand that they don't have the big high quality budget that a movie studio would have. And so in my personal opinion, I don't deduct points for it. Again, I understand it's a fan film, but they use the CGI to play to the strengths of the fighting sequence, and a lot of the time I don't even notice the CGI because they use it for the fighting sequence. They obviously have to use it to give us a little bit more of a dynamic fight, something that the Spider-Man Lotus fan film doesn't actually use to their advantage. Like I remember at one point, Spider-Man pretended to stick onto a wall, but he was literally ground level to the Shocker, which I thought that was really stupid. Like you're Spider-Man, you're supposed to be up like 3 stories high, trying to keep some distance from the Shocker, but instead you're literally on ground level, not that high up. To be honest, it kind of looked like Spider-Man was still standing on the ground. And yeah, I just think that, you know, even if the CGI looked a little weird in the Spider-Man Lotus fan film, I wouldn't have minded if just Spider-Man was 2 or 3 stories high and you could actually see him up there, as long as we get a proper and dynamic fight scene. But yeah, you know, that's my rant. Sorry for rambling, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Later.